Oh, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Sego ani buju wachaya kwe kwe. As the mayor of the city of Kingston, I offer these words in the spirit of this gathering. Let us bring our good minds and hearts together as one to honor and celebrate these traditional lands as a gathering place of the original peoples and their ancestors who were entrusted to care for Mother Earth since time immemorial. It is with deep humility that we acknowledge and offer our gratitude for their contributions to this community, having respect for all as we share the space now and walk side by side into the future. We were just in Committee of the Whole closed meeting. We discussed one item with respect to 495 to 501 Frontenac Street. Mr. Clerk, I'll ask for a motion to rise without reporting, please.
Moved by Councillor Schell, second by Councillor Osanek, that Council rise from the Committee of the Whole closed meeting without reporting.
Please vote. And that carries. Next, we have the approval of the addeds. We have a motion of condolence and amended bylaws. Can I have a mover for the addeds, please? Moved by Councillor Neal, seconded by Councillor George. Please vote. And that carries. Are there any disclosures of potential pecuniary interest? Okay, seeing none, we will move to presentations. There is one presentation this evening. I will present the Governor General of Canada's Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers to several recipients. I'm just going to move to the podium. Thank you very much. So the Sovereign's Medal for Volunteers recognizes the exceptional volunteer achievements of Canadians from across the country in a wide range of fields. As an official Canadian honor, the Medal for Volunteers incorporates and replaces the Governor-General's Caring Canadian Award. The medal builds on the legacy and spirit of the Caring Canadian Award by honoring the dedication and commitment of volunteers. So this evening, I have the pleasure of presenting awards to 3 Kingstonians who have selflessly given their time and energy over many years to help members of our community. Our first recipient this evening is Douglas Green. Since 2000, Douglas Green has been actively involved in the greater Kingston community. He has devoted considerable time as a director and project manager of the Hill 70 Memorial Project, and as a music director and dedicated volunteer in his parish. Thank you for your service to the community. Congratulations, Douglas. Our second recipient this evening is Susan Everett. For more than a decade, Susan Everett has volunteered with St. George's Cathedral, where she serves in a variety of roles and raises funds for her community and for Queen's University. She currently oversees the education team of the Hill 70 Memorial Project. Thank you, Susan, for your contributions to the Kingston community, and congratulations. And our third and final recipient this evening is Warren Everett. Warren Everett has been involved in his community for 2 decades. His love of history inspired him to serve as director of the Kingston Historical Society, and he currently volunteers with the Murney Tower National Historic Museum and the Hill 70 Memorial Project. Congratulations, Warren. We thank you for your commitment to our community. So you may have noticed a theme running through all 3 recipients of tonight's awards, and that is the Hill 70 Memorial Project. And so at this point, I would like to invite Colonel Mark Hutchings to come forward and to say a few words about the memorial.
Your Worship, councillors, citizens, and friends of Hill 70. Thank you very much, sir, for agreeing to present those medals from the Governor General to the team. That's very important. But I just wanted to add to that, if I am allowed to brag to the City of Kingston about the City of Kingston, because that's what I'd like to do for a second. We have had a very high City of Kingston content in the Hill 70 Memorial Project. And what was Hill 70? 100 years ago, the regiment from this town, the Princess of Wales' own regiment, got out of their trenches, and by 5 o'clock in the morning, they had succeeded in taking all their objectives with very few casualties. The effect of that was actually to help make Canada the nation it is today, because every other country of the Allies and of the enemy recognized that the Canadians had done something brilliant. It was a brilliant success for the Allies. There was no memorial there, even though 1,877 Canadian soldiers were killed. And so this group set about remedying that and putting a monument up. But the Kingston content of the workers is phenomenal. I could start out and say that the vice chair of the project, John Scott Cowan, former vice principal of Queen's, former principal of RMC, he was the vice chair. We had Art Jordan, who's here tonight, our chief of staff, and a member of a number of committees in town. David Morecambe was our treasurer. And I should mention now that all of those people were either past commanding officers or past honorary colonels of the Princess of Wales' own regiment. So they had a vested interest, but many others did not. Susan Everett, who is an accomplished educator, assembled a team of a dozen or so people and created a world-class education program that has been distributed to 3,500 schools across the country in French and English. And talent attracts talent. And all these people were in Kingston, in our town. Warren Everett was our controller, now our chief of staff, and also a project manager for the project. Doug Green, project manager, kept us on track. We had a fundraiser, Rob Baxter from Kingston. Chris Spruill, also from Kingston, was our head of site security. France is in a state of emergency still, and it was very difficult having many ministers of the Crown and the Governor General and the French head of state invited, and still trying to have an open ceremony in France. So security was remarkable. And a multitude more, many of whom are known to you sitting here in this room. So Kingston has much to be proud of. It's a remarkable town, and it creates remarkable people. And those people have created a remarkable monument in France to the achievements of your citizens. So, sir, if I may present you with a small token of our appreciation for the great support we got from people in the town.
Okay, so moving on our agenda, we have no delegations this evening. We have no briefings. Are there any petitions to present? Okay, seeing none, we do have a couple of motions of condolence. First, moved by Mayor Patterson, seconded by Deputy Mayor Candon, that the sincere condolences of Kingston City Council be extended to the family and friends of Roy Edward Holloway, who passed away Friday, August 24th. Roy was one of the Kingston City Hall's original tour guides and an outstanding volunteer. He will be dearly missed by all those who knew him. Moved by Mayor Patterson, seconded by Councillor Neal, that the sincere condolences of Kingston City Council be extended to the many friends and family of Dr. C.E.S. Ned Franks. Professor Franks was an internationally renowned specialist on our Canadian parliamentary system. In addition, Dr. Franks was very involved in Queen's University planning. He was a longtime member and a past chair of the Kingston Public Library Board. He will be missed by his many students and friends. So we will call the vote, please.
One more person needs to vote.
And that carries. Okay, we have no deferred motions, so we will move on to reports. First, we have report number 78 from the CAO.
Moved by Councillor George, second by Councillor Hutchison, that report number 78 from the Chief Administrative Officer consent be received and adopted.
So there are 6 clauses. Would anyone like any of those clauses separated? Seeing none, we will vote on all 6 clauses as a whole. Clause 1 is a single source purchase of hydraulic rescue tools and equipment. Clause 2, patio application pizza studio. Clause 3, award of contract, Gyro Incorporated Hastis software upgrade. Clause 4, heritage easement agreement for 81 to 83 King Street East. Clause 5, license agreement extension for temporary installation on Ontario Street in partnership with Kingston Accommodation Partners. And Clause 6, capital project status report, second quarter 2018. So we will call the vote, please. And that carries. Okay, next up is report number 79 from Planning Committee.
It's my pleasure to submit report number 79 from the Planning Committee, duly moved and seconded. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Neal, second by Councillor Turner, that report number 79 from the Planning Committee be received and adopted.
So there are 3 clauses. Would anyone like any of them separated? Okay, Clause 1 is approval of an application for zoning bylaw amendment and draft plan of subdivision 950 Cataract Way Woods Drive. Clause 2, approval of an application for zoning bylaw amendment and draft plan of subdivision 800 John Marks Avenue. Clause 3, approval of an application for zoning bylaw amendment 797 King Street West, 9 Portsmouth Avenue, and 15 Portsmouth Avenue. We'll call the vote, please. Please vote. And that carries. Report number 80 from the Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee.
Again, it's my pleasure to present report number 80 from Municipal Accessibilities, moved and seconded. Thank you.
Moved by Councillor Neal, second by Councillor Holland, that report number 80 from the Municipal Accessibility Advisory Committee be received and adopted.
So there's just the one clause, Accessibility Standards Policy Amendment, Kingston Access Services Eligibility Appeal Process. We will call the vote, please. And that carries. Okay, we have nothing from Committee of the Whole this evening. We have several information reports, so if you have a question, please raise your hand as I read through them. Number 1, tender and contract awards subject to the established criteria for delegation of authority for the month of July 2018. Number 2, Your Stories, Our Histories Public Engagement Project 2018-2019. Councillor Stroud.
Thank you, Your Worship. A question through you to the Cultural Director in charge of this item. So I understand that the very similar, if not identical, report is coming to the Heritage Committee tomorrow. And to just draw Council's attention to the fact this is the stories, this would include dealing with the issue of the statue of Sir John A. Macdonald and related stories. And I was just going to ask the Cultural Director if you just give Council a very brief contextual explanation for how what sort of a summary of the report, I guess.
Mr. Wigginton.
Through you, Your Worship, I'm happy to do that. As outlined in the report, this really stems from a number of years of work that the Cultural Services Department has been doing around issues of cultural heritage and local history in particular. As has been identified, this really started with the Kingston Culture Plan back in 2010, which identified our historical narrative as one of our greatest assets that we had to leverage as a community. Subsequent to that, through the Integrated Cultural Heritage and Cultural Tourism Strategy, we began to map out an approach to how we could deal with cultural heritage, and through the commemoration strategy that was then subsequently approved in 2015, we also identified that there was a need to look at a more balanced approach to our history, so many aspects of what Kingston is known for are well represented across the sort of public landscape, and the need to identify opportunities to bring some more stories forward. So this really builds on that as part of work we want to do to provide us with a framework or guidelines for future programming that we do, particularly through cultural services, so through exhibits, interpretive activities, and education programs. And we always intended to go out to the public to have this kind of conversation so that we can use the resources available to us in the community to start capturing as balanced and complete a history as possible, and one that's inclusive. Of course, this work has also aligned with what we've been doing over the last couple of years in relation to reconciliation here in Kingston and working with the Indigenous community. And so we wanted to move forward with that consultation process starting in January 2019, so coming up in a few months. But we also wanted to get out and start the conversation in this moment because of the national attention that's being put on Sir John A. Macdonald and his legacy nationally as well as locally. And it's not our intent through this report or any of this work to be suggesting at this point any course of action other than to invite the community to participate in this activity of gathering their stories to help us assemble a history that's representative of everyone.
So just as a follow-up, and again, this is an official report, and it will be presented at Heritage tomorrow. So if a member of the public who's watching tonight had anything they wanted to ask or say about the project, they could come to the Heritage Committee tomorrow, and the chair would be permitted. Well, I guess I'm the chair, I would permit it. So I guess I'll just leave it at that. If anyone has anything to say, and members of the public, they can...
Question?
Yeah, so...
Question?
Confirm that they can come to Heritage to interact with the committee.
That's not a question. Okay.
Well, it's an information report, and that's important information. This is a public engagement project.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, any other questions on number 2? Okay. Number 3, Homestead Land Holdings Limited North Block Official Plan and Zoning Bylaw Amendment Applications. Councillor Neal.
Just very quickly, just a quick comment and a quick question. This was a little bit frustrating in part because it went to the OMB because of, I think, the time lapse rule. Is that correct? And will the new tribunal have a similar mechanism? I'm concerned that that developers are taking it out of the hands of the planning committee through previously the OMB process and now potentially the tribunal process, so that we don't have the same amount of public input.
So question?
So is that the case? Will it be a similar thing happening through the tribunal in future?
Ms. Agnew?
Thank you, and through you. So similarly to what the past process has been with the Ontario Municipal Board, there are stipulated timelines in the Planning Act with respect to different types of applications, so that remains unchanged even though we've transitioned to the tribunal. It is true that in this case, the application was appealed based on non-decision of the municipality, and that will carry forward with the new tribunal relative to the minimum amount of time that is allowed before an appellant has appeal rights related to the particular matter.
And I've asked this final question in the past. On complex files, is it a case of we're deeming applications complete, but there are still questions that need to be answered, and then when they don't get answered in a timely fashion, we end up having to defend at the OMB or in future at the tribunal.
Ms. Agnew?
We do have a rigorous process for deeming applications complete. That is something, again, that's stipulated under the Planning Act. So we do that looking at what the requirements were for the application. In this case, it wasn't a matter of prematurely deeming something complete. This is the process associated with technical review related to land use planning. So as you go through, you're looking at a lot of technical matters, you're looking at technical studies, which typically sometimes generate additional questions, additional inquiry that are required as part of the process. So it's a very normal part of the technical review process for planning applications.
I'll talk to you again about this in the future and try to get my head around all of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other questions? Okay. Councillor Hutchison?
Just a simple question, which is probably obvious to council, but not necessarily the public. So this is a function of provincial law under the Planning Act, the process you just described.
Ms. Agnew?
Yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. So moving on, we have no information reports from members of council. Miscellaneous business, we have several motions. Number one, that the resignation of Danica Lockheed from the Arts Advisory Committee and the Arts Advisory Committee Professional Development Working Group be received with regret. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Schell, seconded by Councillor Holland. Please vote. And that carries. Number two, that the resignation of Paul Carl from Heritage Kingston be received with regret. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Osanik, seconded by Councillor Hutchison. Please vote. And that carries. Number three, that notwithstanding section 3.1.4, subsection 5 of the Illumination of City Facilities Policy, Kingston City Council approved the illumination of City Hall and Springer Market Square on October 15th, 2018 for the International Wave of Light in honor of pregnancy and infant loss. Can I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Osterhoff, seconded by Councillor Turner. Please vote. And that carries. Okay, on to new motions. New motion number one, moved by Councillor Bohm, seconded by Councillor Turner. Whereas the City of Kingston considered a name change for the southern portions of Highway 15, Highway 2, and Highway 38 in 2014, and whereas the consideration of a name change for the said streets was unsuccessful due to public feedback and associated costs, and whereas the City of Kingston is currently completing design guidelines for Highway 15, through which a name change of the city-owned portion could be considered. Therefore, be it resolved, the Council directs staff to include a public consultation process in accordance with the Civic Addressing and Road Naming Bylaw number 2005-98 in the current design guidelines project to consider a name change of the city-owned portion of Highway 15. And the Council directs staff to report back with the outcome of the public consultation, as well as any associated costs to be considered in future capital budgets through the outcome of the Highway 15 design guidelines. Councillor Bohm, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship, and through you, I'll just be very brief here. So it did fail in the past when they considered Highway 15, Highway 2, and Highway 38. We have a unique opportunity now because we're doing the Highway 15 design guidelines where we could actually incorporate this in. This actually has been raised by numerous members of the public, and part of the reason is as you drive down 15 now, you'll see Highway 15 signs, you'll see Kingston Road 15 signs, you'll just see 15 on a sign. So there's zero consistency as to what's kind of going on there. When you go on mapping apps, it actually has it properly. It'll call it like Kingston Road 15, but doesn't really have an official name at this point. So obviously south of the 401 within the city, it is now a municipal road. So this is basically just to kind of have staff as part of the already existing work within the Highway 15 design guidelines kind of look and consider that and see what it would actually cost to actually make this make sense going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak? Councillor Hutchison?
I appreciate that there are people, including the councillor, who would want to do this. I would just point out we've gone through this before, and it didn't go well. Mainly because people didn't like the costs, and and the disturbance, I guess, I don't know. But perhaps under the circumstances you described, where we're looking at the guidelines anyway, it'll go differently. So I'm willing to vote for this. I just think it's going to be more of a toss-up than one might think. So we should prepare for that. Thank you.
Thank you. We will call the vote on new motion 1. Please vote. And that carries. New motion number 2, moved by Councillor Rosanek, seconded by Councillor Turner. Whereas yard waste, including leaves, small twigs, garden waste, etc., in the City of Kingston is limited to 1 green bin per household per week, which must also be used in conjunction with food waste. And whereas many residents have to make several trips in their vehicle to the Kingston Area Recycling Center throughout the spring, summer, and fall to dispose of their yard waste, while creating greenhouse gas emissions in the community with multiple trips to the recycling center. And whereas the only other option is to deliver directly to the privately owned but city-contracted yard waste processing facility on Joyceville Road, no other areas to drop off yard waste are available or is allowed. And whereas some residents do not have access to a vehicle to drive to Cark or to the processing facility on Joyceville Road, and whereas other municipalities allow yard waste to be put at the curb each week with their green bins like Peel Region, and whereas the city's Solid Waste Services Department is developing and wishes to deliver a draft master integrated waste management plan for preliminary adoption by City Council in Q3 of 2019 before public consultation is undertaken, therefore be it resolved that staff provide the final master integrated waste management plan with public consultation by Q3 2020 in time for the 2021 budget deliberations that outlines, amongst other things, the feasibility of integrating a spring-summer yard waste curbside collection program into the city's solid waste collection services, including the cost of a monthly yard waste curbside collection and the cost to extend the operating hours of the yard waste site at Cark, as well as an outline of any other options to make it easier for residents to dispose of their yard waste. Councillor Rosanek, you have the floor.
Thank you, Your Worship. This motion came about because Councillor Turner and I have had many requests over the past few years to bring about, a curbside collection during the gardening season. They've seen other cities have it. For example, the city of Barrie has it, city of Brampton, other municipalities in Peel Region, and they just wonder why we don't have it, and we suspect it's cost related, but we don't know how expensive it would be to bring it back. So that's why it's asking for what the cost would be. For the last 15 years, the City of Kingston has participated through the Canada Blooms program. Our program, is called Kingston Blooms, and we want people to have beautiful gardens. It increases the curb appeal, the real estate value, and it just looks really good. But with having a good garden requires a lot of weeding, and it requires more waste than what you can just get right now into our green bin, which is really restrictive in size, and then that means you have to drive it to Kirk, and in the West End, that's kind of far away, from other places in the city. So that's what this motion is asking for. You can see from the wording, we definitely worked with staff to create the motion, and it's just to bring back some options to the new council to see if that's something that we can put in the budget or not. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Hutchison?
Somewhat along the first comments I had on the first motion. I had some experience with this with staff, and the reason why they cut down on percentage of yard waste you could put in your green bin is because yard waste is less valuable and as compost than kitchen waste. And when they're in balance, if they're not in balance or in certain proportions, then it's not as valuable to solid waste commercially. They can't sell it as easily. So that's the issue. And but we're only asking a report here, so I'm going to vote for it. And perhaps they'll change their mind by then, because that does happen. Okay.
Thank you. We will call the vote on new motion 2. Please vote. And that carries. New motion number 3, moved by Councillor Neal, seconded by Councillor Holland, Whereas a major secondary plan, the Williamsville Main Street study, after considerable public input, was embraced by the community and passed unanimously at council and led to a new zoning bylaw and recognition in the new official plan. And whereas a recommendation of the study in 8.6.1 was, as development progresses, it is recommended that regular public information sessions be hosted to keep the community up to date of development applications and the implementation of the study as needed or every 3 to 5 years. Following that session, a meeting of city staff from all applicable departments should be held to discuss the outcomes and feedback received at that meeting. And whereas such a review and public consultation is now overdue, therefore be it resolved that staff organize a public consultation to provide an update and seek input on the progress of the Williamsville Main Street study and present a recommendation report no later than Q3 2019 to Planning Committee. Councillor Neal.
Thank you. And I'll make this quick. We're keeping Councillor Ooster off from his hockey game. So I guess the Maple Leafs are playing tonight. This came out of some inquiries that I've had in the community. For those of you, the Williamsville Main Street study was an excellent example of a secondary plan. It took, it went over, I think, a period of about 18 months, and it was totally embraced by the community. There was lots of input, and the study and the zoning bylaw that came out of that and the recognition in the official plan reflects most of those recommendations and that input. So it really is a good model. And the one thing that, as development has evolved along the streetscape, it's probably due now an opportunity to review both the initial report, secondary plan, and the development that's taken place. Just a quick aside, we have approved the last couple of Williamsville Princess Street developments have met primarily those conditions of the Williamsville study. For people who complain about some of the developments along the street, they have actually been done under the previous zoning, and so we have yet to see a development that truly reflects the Williamsville plan, and I'm looking forward to those developments in the near future that will. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further comments? We'll call the vote on new motion number 3, please. And that carries. Are there any notices of motion? Okay, seeing none, Mr. Clerk, Ross, for minutes, please.
Moved by Councillor Stroud, second by Councillor Osanek, that the minutes of City Council meeting number 2018-20 held Tuesday, September 4th, 2018 be confirmed.
Please vote. And that carries. We have no tabling of documents. We have a number of communications. Is there any other business? Mr. Clerk, Ross, for bylaws, please.
Moved by Councillor Holland, second by Councillor Boehm, that bylaw 1, bylaw 2 as amended, bylaw 3 as amended, bylaw 4, bylaw 5 as amended, bylaw 6 as amended, and bylaw 7 be given first and second reading.
Please vote.
One more person needs to vote.
And that carries.
Moved by Councillor Holland, second by Councillor Boehm, that bylaws 2 as amended, 3 as amended, 5 as amended, and 6 as amended, and bylaws 4 and 7 be given their third reading.
Please vote. And that carries. Motion to adjourn, please. Moved by Councillor Bohm, seconded by Councillor George. Please vote.
Two more to vote.
And that carries. Thank you very much.